Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Crime drama this hour, Gerald Mohr's The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, going back to March 5th, 1949, as Philip Marlowe talks about the friend from Detroit.
When my telephone rang, it jerked me out of one nightmare and right into the middle of another, where a woman with a secret, a worried man, and a shadow out of the past met with fear and fury in the dead of night.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character as CBS presents The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. And now, with Gerald Mohr, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Friend from Detroit.
Was a wood nymph dressed in nothing but a veil of dewdrops. She was pirouetting from one huge bluebell to another on gossamer wings. And with every turn, she smiled and came closer. But just as I reached out for a hand, something happened. The bluebells changed into old tomato cans and started to ring. A bandy-legged little man with a jackhammer went to work on my head. I fell over a cliff, and just before I landed on a red-hot pile of broken Scotch bottles... Oh... I woke up. But the jackhammer didn't stop. I switched on the light and looked at my watch. It was 1 in the a.m. and the phone on my bed table was screaming for an answer. Hello?
Marlowe, this is Dave. Betty's gone. She's in trouble. You gotta help me, Marlowe. You gotta come over to my apartment right away.
Wait a minute. Who is this?
Dave Pryor. I run the coffee joint in the corner. You know me.
Yeah, sure, Dave. I remember. What's the matter?
My wife, Betty, she's gone. You gotta help me.
Dave, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm in bed. Besides, you know I don't monkey with family quarrels.
It's not like that, Phil. Believe me, I'm scared for her. Phil, please, come over to the apartment. 2000 Beechwood right away. It's a matter of life
Okay, I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Marlowe, I thought you'd never get here. Look, somebody fired a shot through the door, and when I got back with the aspirin, Betty was gone.
All right, wait a minute, Dave, hold it. I'm not even awake yet. Look, sit down. Take it from the top, slow.
Yeah, okay. Maybe it started this morning at the coffee joint when a fancy guy came in and talked to Betty. She waits on the table.
Yeah, I know. What do you mean fancy?
Well, a slick dress, a cufflink, stick pin, all that. I didn't know him, and Betty tossed him off to me as a masher. Maybe he was, but she seemed upset.
Slower, huh?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, tonight about 9, another guy came in, a chunky bird with a deep voice. Betty had just got back from shopping, and I was in the kitchen. See, when I heard a tray of dishes fall and Betty came back, white as a sheet, she was scared, Phil, scared.
Hey!
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. Go ahead.
I looked out, and that chunky guy was leaving. Betty insisted he had nothing to do with it, that she was just nervous.
Was somebody else in the place at the time?
Let's see. Yeah, some Tribune reporter that comes in every night was up at the counter. He was the only one.
And Betty stayed on the job till you closed, huh?
Yeah, till midnight. But, Phil, she was in a bad shape.
Mm-hmm.
After we got home here, she sent me out with some aspirin. I was only out for 15 minutes, Phil. When I came back, she was gone. And look, this bullet hole in the glass door to the backyard. Somebody out there shot at her. And maybe hit her or something.
All right, Dave, steady. Now take it easy. You and Betty have a gun?
No. Why?
Well, in the first place, the bullet went out through this glass. It didn't come in. And another thing, Dave, who did you call tonight after you phoned me?
Why, nobody.
Phone directory on the dresser here's open to the bees. Boone, the wardrobe. Mean anything to you?
No, I didn't even realize it was over there. I looked you up in the classified.
Mm-hmm. Okay, come on. Let's take a look in the backyard. Any light out there?
Yeah, I rigged one up for the barbecue. Look, Marlowe, there must
take
be
it
something
easy. Now, we'll straighten this out, believe me. Now, let's see. The line of sight seems to run somewhere between the barbecue and the gate. No footprints, though. Maybe.
Marlowe. Marlowe, here by the tree. It's a hat. Gray snap brim, initials VR on the sweatband.
VR. Mean anything to you?
Why, no. Well, sure. That's Van Remini's hat. He's the newspaper guy I told you about.
Tribune reporter that was in your place tonight?
Yeah.
Why should he be dodging bullets in your backyard?
I don't know.
Dave, where's Betty from?
Detroit. When she came out here, I gave her a job.
And then you both fell for each other and got married, huh?
Yeah, 2 years ago next month. And we've been happy, Phil. We've been...
Yeah. Now, look, Dave. Why did you call me instead of the cops?
I Well, I guess I'm afraid she's mixed up in something bad.
You know, if it turns out that way, I'll have to call him myself.
Okay, Phil. But you're on my side until you know for sure.
Yeah. All right, now you stay here close to your phone.
Okay.
I'll check with you. Right now, I got to get a line on a bare-headed reporter. He can get us started if he hasn't lost anything more than his hat when I find him. So long, Dave. A reporter's hat, 2 strangers, and a bullet hole somehow added up to the fast fate of a hard-working kid named Betty, whose husband's only claim to fame was selling the best cup of coffee in town. It made no sense, but as I walked up the street toward my car, I figured that through Van Remini, I could get to the first answer. I was wrong. The first answer got to me. A thick hedge suddenly sprouted arms. One jerked me around while the other held the cold throat of a .45 against my throat.
Your car registration tag says your name is Philip Marlowe.
No kidding. How do you suppose that happened?
But it doesn't mention your racket. Shamus, maybe?
Could be. And you?
I'm a tourist.
Oh, sure. Just out to see the sights.
That's it. One in particular. $25,000 that belongs to me. I don't want any interference from you or that square inside there.
You mean Dave Pryor?
I mean Dave Pryor. I'll go back in there and tell him to cool off. The little woman is all right. She's just helping an old friend, you might say.
Might I say you're the friend?
Never mind. Unless Mr. Jitters in there kicks up a fuss, everything will be fine. Betty knows what she's doing. She's got a lot of talent for it. Too much to waste slinging hash. And remember what I said, Marlowe. Lay off.
I'll remember more than that about you, Foghorn.
Just remember to count 10 before you move, boy.
Well, there's no point in trying to outsmart a .45. And with 3 steps, Foghorn vanished in the night. Also gone was a big chunk of my respect for a doll named Betty Pryor and her taste in old friends. Just so I wasn't jumping to conclusions, I went to my car and drove down to Hollywood Boulevard. At the first all-night gas station, I stopped and put in a call to the Tribune. A guy on the desk told me, through a mouthful of mangled cigar, that unless Remini was at Bungalow 24, Beverly Crest Hotel, covering the murder of an ex-Detroit hood, he was fired. Then he hung up. But the one word Detroit made the call a jackpot, so I headed for the hotel on the double. It was pink and Spanish and squatted in a grove of well-behaved palm trees at the edge of a domesticated jungle, which gave the illusion of privacy to a string of bungalows that weren't. But number 24 had all the privacy of a glass-faced cutaway beehive when I pulled up in the middle of 2 squad cars and an ambulance and went inside. Sprawled on the floor in front of a desk was the very well-dressed Exhibit A, complete with cufflinks and stickpin, and presiding as usual was Detective Lieutenant Ibarra, who didn't see me until I walked up beside him.
What are you doing here, Marlowe?
I can smell blood clear across town. What's the story, Ibarra?
The name is Speck Willard, a gambler from Detroit. Retired out here to California a few years back to play horses and women. He was shot to death at about 8 o'clock tonight by a person or persons unknown.
Another gang job?
No, I don't think so. Looks more like armed robbery that'd get out of hand.
How so?
We found a currency wrapper from a local bank that read $25,000 in an open drawer in the bedroom. And one of the bellhops saw a woman, unidentified so far, run out of here about the time the coroner says that Willard was shot.
A woman?
Yeah. That fits because he was known to be quite a nightclubber and general playboy. You wouldn't happen to know something about this woman, would you, Marlowe?
Me? Certainly not. No, I'm after a man, alive when I hope.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, Marlowe, take this nickel. In case you should just happen to hear something, I want you to spend that on a phone call to the police department. Now, who is it you're looking for?
A Tribune reporter named Van Remini, you know him?
Unfortunately, that's him over there, the sticky-fingered one by the window, swiping that book of matches just now, the one without a hat.
Oh, yeah, I know. Thanks, Lieutenant. I'll see you. Hey, Remini, can I talk to you a minute?
Yeah, sure. What's on your mind?
I'm Philip Marlowe, private detective.
Well, don't apologize. What's up, Marlowe?
Know a girl named Betty Pryor?
Pryor?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah. She and her husband run a one-arm joint on Franklin, don't they?
That's right, Remini. I understand Betty got into a little trouble tonight. Heard about it?
Nope. Wouldn't worry, though. Trouble's not new to Betty.
Yeah, that's one popular school of thought. Incidentally, you seem to be going a long ways out of your way on this run-of-the-mill murder story, Remini.
You're taking a long way around to the point, pal. Get with it. I'm in a hurry.
Okay, pal. But keep it under your hat, won't you? The gray one, I mean.
Oh, so that's how
Yeah, that's the way it is, yeah. Now, do you mind telling me what you saw in Pryor's backyard tonight?
You name it. Shall I play dumb or lie?
Suit yourself.
See, my press card's just as good as your license, sweetheart. It gets me in, gets me out again. In my dodge, that's called reporting.
Remini, I'll squeeze the truth out of you eventually.
I'm sorry I can't wait. Got a deadline. Anything else?
Yeah, one thing, a match.
Yeah, sure, Marlowe. Anytime.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And, Remini.
Yeah?
Don't hang on too long, huh? liable to singe your pinkies. The reporter blew out the match and looked at me steadily for a moment, and his lips shaped a word I ignored. Then he walked away. I had seen enough of the book of matches he'd stolen to know it was from the Star-Kissed Room, a glossy, glass-roofed, dine, dance, and drink emporium near Arthur Murray's studio on Wilshire Boulevard. So I made like I was in for the night and watched Remini leave. All the way to his car, he kept looking back over his shoulder as if he expected to be followed. I waited till he was out of sight, and then I headed for Wilshire in the Star-Kissed Room. But when I got there, it was closed. Remini's car wasn't in the neighborhood, and the only thing that kept the trip from being a total loss was a spotlighted picture. 10 feet square of a sultry, svelte chanteuse labeled Carla Borden, whose come-on-in smile and almost costume was a cinch to increase the accident rate of the block by 20%. But then I took another look at her name and got back to business. It started with a B, as in phone book, opened to Boone and Bordeaux. I found a directory, got it open to Boone and Bordeaux, and halfway down the page was Borden, Carla, 2840 North Lucerne. It took 10 minutes to get there and 2 more to find out that she had an apartment, number 17, at the end of the first-floor hall. The door was open, and I started for it, but ducked back close to the elevator when a woman came out and ran down the corridor toward me. It was Betty Pryor. Hold it, Betty! Whoa!
What? Mr. Marlowe, what are you...
Never mind the stall, Betty. I've been in a long time.
Why, I don't know what you're talking about.
Now, look, you left a pretty worried guy at home.
Dave, did he send you after me?
That's right.
Why can't you fools leave me alone? Why does he have to be so stupid?
Hey, you've got a few ideas mixed up, kid.
Oh, sure, I'm wrong. I'm the one who's all mixed up. Let go of
Not
me.
until I've got a couple of things straight. Now, what happened? Did life in a hamburger stand get a little stale?
Yes, you two-bit snoop.
Okay. Dave thinks you're in trouble, I think you're in trouble, and I think somebody waved a few bills at you and you lost your grip.
What?
And you're in so deep now you can't get out, and it's no more than you deserve. Now, come on. We're going right back down the hall to Carla's apartment. We're going to have a little chat, just the three of us.
No, I won't let
Come on.
Take your hands off, Marlowe. Stand still.
Well, my 2 chums, the Foghorn and its .45 caliber equalizer.
Easy does it. You were lucky the first time. Well, Betty, did you get it?
No, something went wrong. Something terrible
Shut up. Marlowe isn't deep. We'll talk after he's out of the way. All right, you. Get in that elevator, chum. And we'll wait right here to see you leave. Go on, here.
That 45 makes you awful brave, chum.
This way we don't offend the lady by being uncouth. You get a chance to go up in the world. Just put your finger on the button.
Now, wait a minute.
Come on. All right. Now, all you have to do is push.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. But first...
From March 5th, 1949, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of The Adventures of Philip Marlowe starring Gerald Mohr, March 5th, 1949.
And now, with our star, Gerald Mohr, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Friend from Detroit.
My cage on cables was 10 exasperating seconds getting to the next floor. And I was another 10 getting free of it, back down the stairs and out into the dark street where the red splash of a taillight disappeared around a corner. And that was all that was left of Foghorn and company. So I turned back toward Carla Borden's room. And when I stepped across the threshold, I found that with the exception of a single bureau that was still intact, apartment number 17 looked like it had just played host to the vortex of a cyclone. The bed, a chest of drawers, another bureau, a desk, everything was inside out. And in the middle of all that was the body of Carla Borden. Blood from a deep, ugly cut on her head, staining the snow-white front of her Angora sweater. I saw something else, which reminded me that this was not the first corpse of the night. The plush leather frame was shaped like an oversized lifesaver, and in it was the picture of a handsome man, all smiles, inscribed, "With love to my very best girl, Speck Willett." It was 10 minutes before I got Kennedy Barrow, who was still up at the Beverly Crest Hotel. After I told him about Carla and her connection with the late Mr. Willard and Betty Pryor and my connection with Dave, I stopped talking and listened.
Marlowe, we just learned that Willard had some kind of a $25,000 caper going with one of his old mobster friends from Detroit, named Joe Lazar.
Well, maybe it's something with a voice an octave below bottom?
The same, Phil. Anyhow, it looks like they worked out a gambling deal for old time's sake. At the last minute, Willard tried to welch on Lazar and got killed for his trouble. Then Lazar searched the place until he found the $25,000.
No. That part doesn't fit, Ibarra.
How so?
Well, I've run into Lazar twice tonight. I know he and the money are still strangers.
Oh?
After what happened here with the team of Betty and Lazar getting to the Singer Carla, I figured they're still looking for it. Also, I figured Carla was somewhere near when Lazar killed Spec Willard, and that she took the money and... Call you later, Ibarra. I got clumsy company in the hall outside. All right, ballerina, get your foot out of that bucket and come on in with your hands up. Well, the man with a very long nose for news. What brings you around, Remini?
For one thing, the fact that you got no corner on brains, Marlowe, and for another, who did that to her?
Our mutual friend, Betty Pryor, and her running mate. I believe they were looking for $25,000.
Did she and Joe Lazar get the money, Marlowe?
No, they... Hey, Remini, how did you know the man with Betty was named Joe Lazar?
Haven't you heard? I'm a good reporter, Marlowe. The kind that keeps eyes and ears open and mouth shut. It isn't until I know the whole story.
Which, as far as you're concerned, is precisely what?
That I happen to be...
You happen to be?
That I happened to be in Dave's restaurant early this evening, where I recognized the only other cash customer as Joe Lazar.
Oh.
An out-of-work mobster from Detroit. He said something to Betty that scared her right out of a tray of dishes, so I figured I'd find out what was going on. I've been in on the show ever since.
Yeah. Including a corny blackout up at 2000 Beechwood Drive where you lost your hat running away from a bullet.
That's right.
Yeah.
And just so you don't toss and turn when you get around to going to bed tonight, I'll fill in the rest. I followed Betty and Dave from the restaurant to their apartment. I watched her get rid of Dave, and then when I saw Lazar come in, I moved up close to the window.
And stayed there. Until Lazar spotted you and threw a bullet your way?
You're very clever.
Yes, I am, man.
But before that happened, I heard him tell Betty that Spec Willard had talked about a girl singer at the Starkiss room named Carla Borden. And that since he didn't know Carla on sight, she could have been the lady he'd seen running out of Spec's apartment with a 25 gram.
Oh. Now that phone book of Dave's open to the bees ties in.
I'm so glad. Now, Marlowe, lest we digress too far, how come this one bureau here hasn't been turned upside down along with everything else?
I don't know. Any more than I know why you're holding back so much from the law.
Well, maybe it's because I don't like cops, Marlowe. Oh, black ones. Or maybe it's because I'm in the same kind of racket as you. Chin way out and a lot of fast talk, just so papers can know what's going on an hour ahead of the rest of the world. Well, there's no 25,000 in here. I got to blow.
Before Ibarra shows?
Before Ibarra shows. He always arrives with an entourage, Marlowe, one that includes other news hounds. So it's me for a fast cab and downtown to my paper with a story. Go on, fellow. I'll see you around.
Hey, wait a minute, Remini.
Yeah?
I'll give you a lift. I'm going that way myself.
Okay.
I got a story, too. A lousy story I've got to tell a nice guy named Dave. Come on. All the time we drove, Remini half-faced me and smoked one cigarette after another while he rattled on about Joe Lazar. The great story he had and a lot of other things I didn't hear because
From here to there.
I was busy trying to find the right words with which to tell Dave Pryor that his wife was no good. So when we were about halfway to Beechwood Drive and Remini, who was pushing close to his deadline, decided to get out and phone his story in from a drugstore, I was glad.
So long, Marlowe.
Second after that, I knew I was kidding myself. Because even with just silence for company, I was still no place with the right words. 10 minutes later, when I stood in front of Dave on the steps to his house and stammered out the facts just as I had run across them, I forgot about words, right or wrong. I thought instead about my client, a badly hurt guy, but one who would never say die.
Marlowe, I can't believe all this. I won't. Tell me, where's Betty now?
I don't know, Dave. Now, look, maybe we ought to head for police headquarters, because sooner or later we're each going to have a story to tell Lieutenant Ibarra. Come on, my car's over here.
Oh, okay, Phil. I guess that's the only thing to do, all right?
Yeah, I guess so. Here. Better have a cigarette, Davey.
Oh, thanks.
Kid, we'll try to make this as painless as we...
As we what, Marlowe? What is it?
Hmm?
Well, what are you staring at?
Front seat.
But I don't see anything, Phil. What is it? What
Shut
are you
up,
staring
Dave, shut up. Give me a minute, will you? Yeah. Yeah, sure. Come on, Dave, pile in.
But why, Marlowe? Where are we going?
Starkiss room to play a long shot. Slapped my foot down hard on the accelerator and kept it that way right through a string of I didn't care what color traffic lights until 5 minutes later when we screeched to a stop, away from the side entrance to the Starkiss room. I left Dave in the front seat, piled out fast, and ran a dozen yards to an abrupt halt. At the sight of something that turned the long shot I was playing into an odds-on favorite. It was the stage entrance door, open a couple of inches, and in front of that and unconscious on the hard sidewalk where he'd fallen was the clad in blue form of a private patrolman. His pistol holster conspicuously empty. Inside, I slowly picked my way along an L-shaped corridor until I saw a shaft of bright yellow from a flashlight. It was moving away from a door marked Carla Borden. It brought me up short and flat against the wall.
From March 5th, 1949, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The conclusion follows these messages from your favorite radio station. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of The Adventures of Philip Marlowe and the Friend from Detroit, March 5th, 1949.
But then as the man on the other end of the beam of light moved away from me, I got a very steady grip on the .38 in my pocket and started after him. A minute later, he entered the main room of the club, and it was there, as he started across the glass ceiling dance floor, that I recognized the very self-confident gait of a very self-confident guy. And that made the next move mine.
Bar's closed, Remedy, and don't move, Buster. I'll blow your head off.
Ah, looks like you're making news this time, good reporter. Or isn't that package in your hand the 25 grand you just found in Carla Borden's dressing room, huh? The same Carla Borden you murdered not an hour ago in an apartment on Lucerne, where you first thought the money was, where Betty Pryor surprised you before you could finish searching, where you later returned in the role of an all-American newsboy so you could get to that last bureau.
All right. I've heard enough, Marlowe. But I'm not going to stick around for more details.
You make a break and I'll shoot, Remedy.
Try it, Eagle.
Stop, Remedy, stop!
Marlowe.
Nice shooting, Marlowe. But don't turn around because where I'm standing it's dark, and where you're standing it's light. Now throw your gun away, fella. Come on, toss it. That's better. All right, Betty. Get over to that dead newspaper guy and get the money. And we'll take care of the private detective here.
What do you mean, take care, Joe? I can't go along with murder.
Spec Willard's death didn't seem to bother you any.
Shut up, Marlowe.
Spec Willard. Joe, you killed...
Yes, I killed Spec, that Welcher. 8 o'clock tonight. And I had to stay undercover, but still get my hands on the money. So, I came to you for help. I didn't tell you about the killing because I didn't think you'd play ball if you knew about it. Now, all that's history now, and I'll still go to your dear husband, Dave, and talk lots about the kind of cheap kid you used to be in Detroit if you don't get moving. Now, what do you say, Betty?
I say no, Joe. I also say I made a mistake in the first place, letting you use me to run your filthy errands. Just so the guy I love wouldn't have to know about the kind of people I once ran around with before I had any brains.
All right. That's the dumb way you want it. That's the dumb way it'll be. And taking care of 2 years is much harder than taking care of one.
What about 3, Lazar?
Dave, stay back!
No, Marlowe, no. I've stayed back too long already. I've stayed back while Betty has been risking her life to protect what we've got.
If you take another step, I'll shoot, kid. I warned you for the last time. Stay back.
No, Lazar, I won't.
You thinking scum, Lazar?
Oh, Dave, you're hit.
Yeah. But I'll be all right. I'll be all right now, Betty.
Dr. Reese, please report to surgery.
Well, Mrs. Pryor,
Dr. Reese,
Marlowe, the doctor says that Dave's going to be fine in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Caught one on the shoulder, the other on the hip.
He certainly had courage, didn't he?
Yeah, and you did all right, too, Betty. Mixing in this whole mess just to keep the home fires burning. Tell me, whatever made you think that a guy like Dave wouldn't understand that you turned over a new leaf?
Well,
Dr. Reese wanted in
I don't know, Phil. I guess I wasn't very smart.
No, you weren't, Mrs. Pryor, but you're lucky because Marlowe here was. And that brings me around to a loose end, Phil. How did you know that Remini was your man?
All right. Because of something I saw in the upholstery of the front seat of my car he borrowed. Tufts of snow-white Angora, which was the kind of sweater that Carla Borden had on when she was murdered, after they struggled.
And since you didn't touch the body yourself, they couldn't have come from your suit.
No. And Remini was the only other one who had been in my car. So I figured that the Angora fuzz had gone from Carla's sweater to Remini's suit to my upholstery. All of which means that Remini must have been in Carla's room before I got there as well as after. See? And then once I thought back about his getting out of my car to phone his story in, I realized that when I dropped him near a drugstore, he had also been near the Star-Kissed room.
Yes. It's exactly where he'd headed.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Phil, Joe and I followed both of you from Carla Borden's place because, well, after Joe put you in that elevator and we ran, Joe said we had to return and wait for Remini, who was sure to come back and finish his search.
And the whole business because Lazar, after he had murdered Speck Willard, was afraid to publicly go after Carla Borden. And the money he felt was his.
Yes. He knew about me and Dave because Speck Willard accidentally dropped into our place this morning.
Correction, baby.
What?
Yesterday morning.
Oh.
It's now 9 a.m. Oh. And a good time to call quits, huh? Good night, kids. Well, by the time I got back to my apartment on Franklin, it was 10:30 in the too bright morning. I was sporting sandpaper eyelids and a knot in the small of my back that felt like a wet dish rag. Oh, but once I had all the shades down and was undressed and in bed, I forgot about that. And I thought instead of the wood nymph dressed in nothing, with a veil of dewdrops. But then suddenly I stopped. The telephone. I got out of bed. I picked it up with both hands, opened the dresser drawer, and jammed it deep under all the socks I owned. And then I got back to bed. And the wood nymph, in her veil of dewdrops, she was pirouetting from one huge bluebell to another. Oh, my. On gossamer wing.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, created by Raymond Chandler, stars Gerald Mohr, and is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Mel Dinelli, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Virginia Gregg as Betty Pryor, Peter Leeds as Dave Pryor, Harry Bartell as Van Remini, and Ed Begley as Joe Lazar. Lieutenant Detective Ibarra was played by Jeff Corey. The special music was by Richard O'Runt. Be sure and be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
It was a hunt through a jungle of city streets, with danger waiting at every intersection, until halfway through, when the hunters became the hunted, and death brought an end to the game.
March 5th, 1949, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we've been following what's going on in Lum and Abner's brand new radio station in Pine Ridge, Arkansas, station VPR. And now it looks like they're going to try a soap opera. Let's listen to this episode of Lum and Abner, March 5th, 1953.
Granny's, Abner. I believe that's our ring.
I don't get Lum. I believe you're right.
I'll see. Hello, jot 'em down, store. This is Lum and Abner.
And now let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge.
Hello there, Dick Huddleston speaking. Well, sir, Moe's Moots, VPR's only sponsor, is still giving Lum and Abner trouble. They just can't seem to put on a radio program that satisfies him. But they're still trying, and believe it or not, they're getting up at daybreak today to put on an early morning daytime serial. And what a serial. Come on, let's check in at the Jot 'em Down store. I don't want you to miss this.
Well, dog is Lum, I don't see what you have to put a program on so early in the morning for. I'm still half asleep.
Well, we got to put it on this early. That's when Moe's Moots wants it.
Moe's Moots. You'd think he was running our lives.
Well, he is, sorter. He's our sponsor. Don't forget that.
Well, whatever he is, I still don't see why he wants to have a program on at this time of day.
Well, he just felt like he weren't getting no results from them nighttime shows he's putting on, so now he wants a daytime serial, he says.
Cereal?
Yeah.
Well, I don't see how what he wants for breakfast has got anything to do with his radio program.
Well, I don't mean that kind of cereal, the kind you eat. I mean them kind of radio programs they have on every day, like Mary Margaret McBride Faces Portia, and When a Girl Marries John's Other Husband, Dr. Malone Can Be Beautiful, and all such as them.
Oh, yeah, them. Elizabeth listens to all of them.
See, Mose figures if he can build up an audience early in the morning, he might catch them before they go to work and give them the idea of starting the day out by getting a shave or a haircut at his barber shop. You got to hand it to that Mose. He knows what he's doing.
Man, I don't know whether he does or not. It's mostly women folks that listen to them shows, Lum. I know good and well Elizabeth ain't gonna rush down there and get a shave no matter how interesting the story is.
No, but it might make her remind you to get a shave, you see. That's how them things work.
Man, I doubt it. She gets so rocked up in listening to them programs, she don't know whether I've had a shave or not.
Well, that's Moses' idea anyway. All we're supposed to do is put the program on, and that's what we're going to do. Uh-oh, here comes our other actors.
Yeah, all except Grandpap.
Well, morning, Squire. Hello, Cedric.
Well, gentlemen. Glad to see you up so bright and early. Well, at least early. Like to have a little joke, you know.
Yeah.
What am I laughing at? I'm still half asleep.
Well, I'm glad you fellers are here anyways. Wish Grandpap'd hurry up and get you here. We'd get started.
Yes, delay has no place in business, man. By the way, Lum, I don't believe you have any insurance on this shortwave set of yours either. Now, I just happen
Well,
to
we
have
ain't got time to think about that now, Squire. We got to get going here.
Yeah, Cedric, did you rehearse your part like Lum told you to?
Mom?
Dog is a fine actor you're gonna be.
I tried to get Sister Simpson to play some sad organ music for us, but I couldn't get her.
Do you think the show will be sad enough with just us in it, Lum?
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
We just have to try it anyway. Have you fellers all got your parts now?
Yeah, but Lum, can't we change it to where I don't have to be the woman? Seems like every show we put on, I'm the woman.
Well, we can't change it now, Abner. Besides, you're the only one that's got enough acting talents to take that part.
Dad, name it. Wish I didn't have so many talents.
Don't forget Grandpap's taking a woman's part in this, too. He's Grandma Jensen. Wait a minute, where is Grandpap?
Well, he promised he'd be here.
Well, we can't wait no longer. Mose is waiting to hear his show. We just have to do the best we can. Cedric, get over and start cranking the generator.
Well, I'm in the show. I can't do that.
Well, you're going to do it for the opening announcement and the theme song.
Well, I'll be glad to give the generator a twist or two between lines, Lum.
Yeah, I reckon we'll all have to do that, Squire. Swap up on it.
Yes.
Well, let's get started. Turn the switch on, Abner.
Roger.
Get going, Cedric. Good morning, friends of Radio Land. This is Lum Edwards, the announcer that grins while he talks, greeting you from station VPR, located in our main studios. This morning...
Hey, Lum, here comes Grandpap.
Good. Tell Grandpap to keep his mouth shut. Now we're on the air.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Yeah, howdy. I'm sorry I was late, Lum.
Hush up, Grandpap. We're broadcasting.
Oh. All right, fellas, here we go.
Yeah.
This morning, friends, we bring you the new Moe's Moots program, a shaven soap opera entitled Life Faces the Sufferin' Jensens.
Very sad organ music.
Shh, Abner, you don't read that. We ain't got the music no way.
Yeah.
This is the story that asks the question, can the Sufferin' Jensens take it? 5 times a week, Monday through Friday at this same time. Brought to you by...
Moe's Moots' Barber Shop. For the closest shaves and aroundest haircuts, recollect the name, Moe's Moots, Moe's Moots is spelled M-O-S-E, Moe's, M-O-O-T-S, Moot.
No other barber can make that statement.
Music gets sadder. Oh, I forgot I wasn't supposed to read that.
Mother Jensen has just got a letter from Ralph saying that Mary and Gregory have broke up and Mary has run away with Judson, forcing little Buster and baby Vern to live with Miss Custer, who they hate. Mother Jensen knows she must keep this news from Grandma Jensen because Grandma has lost all her money in a fake oil well, and one more shock will bring her asthma, which Dr. Fritz says will kill her. But Lucy doesn't know this because Mr. Jensen, who is being suspicioned of embezzling money at the office, doesn't want Henry to worry while he's in bed with a broke leg, which he got falling off a ladder trying to keep Maud from eloping with Fred, who has broke his parole. Sonny is in school.
Well, Grandma, how do
I ain't
you...
done yet, Abner.
Oh?
Unbeknownst to Mother Jensen, Elsie has fell in love with Dr. Fritz, but Mabel has come in betwixt them. And if Elsie don't lay off, Mabel will have Alger Oppenheim sell Grandma another fake oil well. So Elsie goes to get help from Harley, but Genevieve is laid up with a broke collarbone, and Harley is working in a coal mine to try to raise money to pay Dr. Fritz, who is actually in love with Mildred, Homer's cousin. Homer does not know this. He has just went bankrupt. Sonny is in the third reader at school.
Well, Grandma,
Wait
how
a minute,
do you
Abner.
feel...
I ain't done setting the scene yet.
Oh, that's...
Unbeknownst to Gertrude, Homer's other cousin, Homer has tried to borrow money from Alger Oppenheim, but Lucy is in his office with Earl and David and Martha. So Homer jumps down the elevator shaft and breaks both arms.
Must have went head first.
Martha does not know this. She is actually in love with Dr. Fritz. Sonny has just returned from school and falls down the fake oil well. Grandma limps up to the breakfast table. Mother Jensen is the first to speak.
Now, well, Grandma, how do you feel this morning?
Oh, don't mind me.
I seen you limping, Grandma. Have you broke your hip again?
It's nothing.
You are brave, Grandma.
It's nothing, I said.
I feel that something terrible is going to happen today, Grandma.
Do you?
Yes. Well, here comes my husband, Mr. Jensen.
Does he know that you know about him being suspicioned for embezzling money at the office, Emma?
No, I don't want him to know I know till I get over my lumbago.
You're brave, Emma.
Here he comes. He looks sad. He must have something on his mind.
Hello, Emma and Grandma.
Hello, Mr. Jensen. Have you got something on your mind?
Well, it's nothing. If the police come, just tell them I'm not home.
Are you sure there ain't nothing wrong?
You must not worry about it.
Mr. Jensen is brave, Grandma.
It's nothing. How's Dr. Fritz, Mr. Jensen?
Well, he just had a nervous breakdown. Martha does not know this.
Poor Martha. Oh, here comes our little boy.
Don't tell him about me being an embezzler. Lum, I don't like this part. Folks are liable to get to believing this. You know, it might hurt my business.
No, they won't, Squire. Keep going. Read it again.
Don't tell him about me being an embezzler.
He cannot hear anyways with his head all wrapped up in bandages.
Oh, is our poor little boy hurt again?
Yeah. When David and Lucy were eloping this morning, Lucy's satchel fell and hit Sonny on the head, like to kill him.
Does Gertrude know about David and Lucy?
No, and don't tell her. Poor girl, she's got burdens enough of her own. What with George back in jail, the bank failing with her life savings in it, and Milton running off with her daughter, Rose, and her government bonds.
Oh, poor Gertrude. How can we bear up under all this?
Well, Mother, you've got to bear up, too. Here comes our little boy. You must not let him see those tears in your eyes.
Hello, Mother and Daddy and Grandma. Why is that policeman on the front porch?
Oh, you poor little innocent lamb of a boy.
Be brave, Emma. You got to tell him.
Oh, what have I done to deserve this terrible fate?
Oh, here comes the policeman.
No. Do not let them take me away from my little boy. my own dear little boy, who I have loved like a son. No, no, my curly-headed sonny, no.
What are they doing to my daddy? Don't take him away.
Oh, my little blue-eyed boy.
Hold it, fellas. There's the telephone.
You better get it, Lum. I'm huddled up where I can't see nothing here.
Hello. Oh, yeah, Mose. How's that? I can't make out a word you're saying. Oh, well, but Mose... Well, all right. Yeah, goodbye.
What'd Mose want, Lum?
He says to cancel the show.
Cancel? I thought we was doing good.
It's the trouble, we're doing too good. Mose is so tore up he can't stand it. The poor feller's over there crying so hard it was all I could do to understand him. And this is one time I'm glad he canceled. I don't believe I could have stood one more episode.
Oh, they get a good show on the air, and then it's too sad for Mose. The only sponsor they've got, Lum and Abner, March 5th, 1953. You can hear a lot of Lum and Abner shows going back to 1935 up until their last shows in 1954 from our friend Ted at RadioMemories.com. He's done a full restoration on many of these shows, and they sound probably better than they did in the days that they aired. Lum and Abner, you can find them at RadioMemories.com. Cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer. Contact Ted, RadioMemories.com. And while you're traversing the interwebs, visit our webpage. That's at classicradio.stream. Stream our shows. Learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me, find our social media links, and you can also buy me a copy. The Buy Me a Coffee money helps us acquire additional great classic radio collections that are out there. We have picked up a few more, and we hopefully, through your help, will find some more rare, great classic radio programs. That's at classicradio.stream. Thanks so much for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.